Hey, I'm Eleanor Mitchell. I'm 62 years old, and I'm about to tell you a story that'll make you think twice about family, money, and what it really means to love someone. See, I had a daughter in law stay at my beautiful mountain cabin, which was supposed to be just 3 weeks. But what I discovered, it destroyed everything I thought I knew about my own son. By the time this was over, I had to choose between my love for my family and my love for myself. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I chose myself. And that decision, it changed everything. Stick around because this story gets wild. If you're listening from somewhere far away, drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this has traveled. And please, stay with me until the end because the ending, it's not what you think it's going to be. This isn't some heartwarming family reconciliation where everybody cries and hugs it out. This is real life. And real life, it's messy, it's complicated, and sometimes you got to break things to fix them. So let's get into it. My name is Eleanor Mitchell. I'm 62 years old, and I'm sitting in my townhouse in Charlotte, North Carolina, thinking about things that don't really deserve this much attention. You know what I've learned at 62? Life doesn't wait for you to be ready. It just keeps moving, dragging you along whether you like it or not. I wasn't always this reflective. When I was younger, I was too busy doing to think about much of anything. I spent my 30s, 40s, and 50s trying to keep everyone happy. My husband, my son, my boss, my friends, everybody. And you know what? I'm tired. Not physically tired, though Lord knows I could use a nap. I mean soul tired. The kind of tired where you realize you've spent 40 years being what everyone else needed instead of what you actually wanted to be. My husband, Tim Mitchell, passed away back in 2019. Heart attack. One day he was fine, the next day he was gone. We'd been married for 36 years. He was a financial advisor, super successful, made great money. But you know what I realized after he died? He'd never really known me, not the real Eleanor. He knew Eleanor, the wife, the woman who made dinner, who raised the kid, who smiled at the right times. But the actual Eleanor, the one with her own dreams and fears, she was somewhere buried underneath all that. After Tim died, I got serious about my life for the first time in decades. I'd been working as an HR manager at a Fortune 500 company since I was in my 30s, and I was damn good at it. I got promoted, made my own money, good money, and I bought myself something beautiful. A cabin up in Asheville, North Carolina, in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's worth about $850,000 now, though I still got about $200,000 on the mortgage. But it's mine, no compromise. So to me, just me and my own four walls. I had one child, Michael Harrison. He's 38 now. Good kid, good job, became a software engineer, makes solid money, probably around $180,000 a year. That's respectable. For a while, I thought he was doing great. Then Linda happened. Linda was his first wife. They were together 8 years. Then she left him. Why? According to Michael, it was because he was too focused on work and not emotionally available. I mean, I didn't say anything, but I thought it was kind of ironic. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it? After Linda left, Michael went through this phase where he was just lost, not going out, not dating, just working and going home and not really living. And it broke my heart, honestly. My son was suffering and I couldn't fix it. And let me tell you, that's a hard pill for a woman like me to swallow. Then, about 6 months ago, November 2025, I think it was, Michael goes to this charity event in Charlotte and he meets Chloe Hartman. Now, I knew who the Hartman family was. We moved in the same social circles for a while. Robert Hartman was a CEO of some mid-level company. Patricia was doing real estate. They seemed fine, successful. They had a daughter, Chloe, who was a few years younger than Michael. She was doing interior design work, freelancing. You know, one of those be your own boss types. I didn't know much about her personally. She just seemed like a nice girl, talented, independent, maybe a little bit too interested in my furniture when Michael brought her over for dinner, but I tried not to read too much into it. So Michael comes home from this charity event and he's like, "Mom, I met someone." And I'm thinking, okay, this is good. My son's finally getting back out there. And for a few months, it seemed like things were going well. Michael was happier. He had that light back in his eyes that disappeared when Linda left. Then, in April 2026, literally just a few months ago, Michael calls me, and his voice sounds different, stressed. He says, Mom, I need to talk to you about something. Chloe's family is going through some stuff right now. And, well, they kind of need a place to stay for a little bit. I'm like, okay, what happened? And Michael tells me that Robert, Chloe's dad, he got caught doing something unethical at his company. Not technically illegal, but unethical enough that he was forced out. And supposedly Patricia lost her job too, or at least her business dried up. They don't have anywhere to stay. They don't have money for a hotel. They're just stuck. Now, I'm not a heartless person, but my immediate reaction is, Michael, honey, that sucks, but they're adults. They'll figure it out. But then Michael says something that catches me off guard. He goes, Mom, I know Chloe's important to me. And if I'm going to have a future with her, I got to show her that I'm someone she can count on, that I'm someone who takes care of people. He says, could they maybe stay at your cabin in Asheville just for like 3 weeks? Just until Robert can figure out a new job situation? Honestly, in that moment, I should have said no. Every instinct in my body was screaming no. But you know what happened instead? I felt this weird sense of responsibility. Like if I said no, I was somehow abandoning my son when he needed me. If I said no, I wasn't being the kind of mother he deserved. So I said yes. But I was very clear. Michael, 3 weeks. That's it. After 3 weeks, they gotta go. I'm planning to either rent that cabin out long term or sell it, and I need it prepared. Michael was so grateful. He was like, Mom, thank you so much. This is going to mean everything to her. Her family needs this. This is so kind of you. And you know what? I believed him. I actually thought I was doing a good thing. I had literally no idea what was about to happen. So the Hartmans move into my cabin around May 3rd, 2026. I didn't go see them move in. I figured, let them have their space, let them adjust. Michael said everything was fine. They were settling in okay, and all I had to do was wait 3 weeks. Except 3 weeks came and went, and nobody mentioned anything about leaving. Then I got my first clue that something was off. For the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about those utilities. The electric bill for May came in. Now, normally my cabin costs about $600 a month in electricity. It's a nice sized place, but nothing crazy. The bill, $1,100. I was like, what the hell? I called Michael immediately. I was trying not to sound upset, but honestly, I was confused. I asked him point blank, Michael, why is the electric bill $2,100? And he tells me, oh, Mom, Chloe's mom has been taking long baths because she's stressed, and the AC has been running a lot. I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't really make sense, but I'm trying to be understanding here. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Then the water bill comes. Usually that's like $120. This month, $850, guys. Now I'm getting annoyed. I call Chloe directly this time. I'm being nice about it, but I'm like, hey, Chloe, I noticed the water bill is really high this month. Is everything okay? And Chloe tells me, oh, Eleanor, I'm so sorry. My mom loves taking baths, and with my dad also there, we've just been using a lot of water. We'll be more mindful. But here's the thing. She says it in this too casual way, like, oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. These things happen. Not like she feels bad about it. Not like she's genuinely concerned about the fact that she's literally costing me hundreds of dollars a month in utilities. And that's when I started getting this feeling in my stomach. That uncomfortable feeling when you realize something's off, but you can't quite put your finger on it. I'm sitting at my kitchen table one night and I call Susan Walsh. Susan and I went to law school together. We haven't kept super close touch over the years, but we were good friends back in the day. She became a lawyer specializing in family law and property disputes. Basically, she's the kind of person who knows when someone's being shady. I tell her what's going on, and Susan's first response is, Eleanor, how long have they been there? And I'm like, about 2.5 weeks. And Susan's like, and they're supposed to leave when? Well, I said 3 weeks total. Susan goes quiet for a second. Then she goes, Eleanor, you need to be very careful here. You need to understand tenant rights. Depending on your state, if someone lives somewhere for more than a certain amount of time, they become a legal tenant. And once they're a tenant, you can't just kick them out. You got to go through eviction proceedings. And I'm like, Susan, they're family. And she's like, Eleanor, are they family? Or are they people you're being nice to? That question stuck with me. On May 15th, I decided I was going to drive up to the cabin myself and just check on things, see what was actually going on. It's about a 90-minute drive from Charlotte to Asheville. I drove up alone, didn't tell Michael I was coming. When I pulled up to the cabin, I immediately noticed something. There were 3 cars in the driveway. I only expected 2, Michael's car and Chloe's. Maybe 1 more for Robert and Patricia. But 3. I unlock the front door with my key. The first thing I hear is noise, voices, laughter, music playing. The second thing I smell is not great. Stale food and unwashed clothes. I walk into the living room. Oh my God, there are 6 people in my cabin. 6. I'm seeing Robert and Patricia, obviously, Michael and Chloe. But there are also 2 other men that I've never seen before in my life. They're watching TV, eating chips off my heirloom cherry wood coffee table, a table that's been in my family for 3 generations. There's grease all over it. And when they see me, they don't even really react, like, oh, hey, Eleanor's here. They just keep doing what they're doing. Patricia sees me and she's like, oh, Eleanor, nice to see you. Like, I'm just dropping by for a casual visit. Not like I'm the person who owns this place and is discovering that it's been completely taken over. I'm trying to keep my composure. I'm trying not to just lose it right then and there. I ask Michael to step outside with me. When we're outside, I ask him calmly, who are those 2 men inside? Michael's like, oh, those are some of Dad's cousins. They're just visiting for a few days. A few days? Yeah, they came down from Virginia. I take a deep breath. I ask him, Michael, when is Chloe's family leaving? And Michael looks at me like he's nervous. And he goes, well, Mom, about Dad. I mean, Robert, he's been having trouble finding a job. And Mom, Patricia, she had some business stuff fall through. So they're thinking maybe they need to stay a little bit longer. How much longer? Maybe like another month or 2. I literally feel the blood drain from my face. Michael, we agreed 3 weeks. I know, Mom, but no, but they leave. Next Friday, that's over 3 weeks. But I don't really believe that's going to happen. And honestly, looking back, I don't think Michael believed that either. I went inside and did a quick walkthrough. The kitchen is a disaster. Dishes everywhere, food waste piled up, the smell of something rotting in the trash. My bedroom, someone's been using it. Clothes on the bed, toiletries in the bathroom. The guest bedrooms, all occupied, laundry everywhere. I don't say anything. I don't yell. I don't even really express how I'm feeling. I just absorb it. And then I leave. On the drive home, I'm running through everything in my head. And I'm thinking about what Susan said. Are they family or are they people you're being nice to? Because here's the thing, they're not family. They're people I've known for like 2 months, and they're completely walking all over me. And the worst part? My own son is letting them. The next morning, May 17th, I'm at work, sitting in my office. I'm supposed to be focusing on employee evaluations and compensation planning, but I can't focus on anything except the fact that my son has basically handed over my party to complete strangers. Michael calls me around 11 a.m. His voice sounds weird, nervous about something. He's like, Mom, can we talk tonight? Like in person? I think we should probably clear some things up. And I know immediately that this conversation is going to be bad. So I say yes. I tell him to come over around 6 p.m. That whole day at work, I'm just sitting there thinking, and I'm getting more and more angry. But it's not hot anger, you know? It's not the kind where you're yelling and screaming. It's cold anger, the kind where you're just calculating. You're thinking about what you're going to do. You're already 3 steps ahead. Michael arrives around 6:30. He looks rough, like he hasn't slept in days. His eyes are red. He's lost weight. He's wearing the same hoodie he wore 5 years ago. We sit down at my kitchen table, the same table where he did homework as a kid, and I'm waiting for him to talk, but he doesn't. He just sits there for like 30 seconds, not saying anything, just looking at his hands. Finally, I'm like, Michael, what's going on? And he takes this really deep breath. And he tells me that Chloe's company, the interior design business, didn't just struggle, it collapsed, like completely went under. He says this happened back in May, but he found out about it in March. March. So basically, he's known for like 2 months that Chloe was about to lose her business, and he never told me. And then he tells me something that really gets me. He tells me that he's been giving Chloe money, like a lot of money, $40,000 to be exact. He took it out of his personal savings and just gave it to her. I'm like, Michael, what did you just say? I gave her $40,000, Mom. I was trying to help her restart her business. And where is this money now? I don't. I don't actually know, Mom. She said she was going to use it for equipment and marketing and stuff, but I haven't really followed up on it. I'm sitting there looking at my son, and I'm realizing something. This isn't about him trying to help someone he loves. This is about him being manipulated. This is about him being so desperate to have someone love him after Linda left that he's willing to just give away money to a woman he's been dating for 6 months. And I can hear it in his voice when he talks about Chloe. He says things like, she said that if I helped her, we could start over together. And she said she needed me to believe in her. This is textbook manipulation, and my son is too blind to see it. I ask him, Michael, did you get any paperwork, like a loan agreement or anything? Any way to track where this money went? And he's like, no, Mom, it was just, I gave it to her. And she said she'd pay me back once the business got going again. I stand up. I'm trying to keep my cool, but I'm literally vibrating with anger at this point. I go into my office. I've got a home office where I do work stuff sometimes, and I pull out my laptop. I open my banking app. I look at my account. I've got about $150,000 in my main savings account. It's not a fortune, but it's meant to be my retirement backup. I've got another $200,000 in retirement accounts that I can't touch without penalties. And I've got some investments. All of this money is earmarked for my future, my golden years, my retirement. But I also have something else. I have a joint savings account that I set up for Michael and my future grandkids when Michael was born. It's got $60,000 in it. It was meant to be a down payment for Michael's first house with his eventual family. Michael's got signatory power on the account, meaning he can access it, but technically, I own it. I'm the principal. I've been adding to it his entire life. Every birthday, every Christmas, I'd throw a little money in there. It was my ways of saying, I believe in your future. I believe you're going to do great things. Looking at that $60,000 now, I'm thinking about what Susan said. She said, Eleanor, once they get comfortable using your resources, they're going to keep using them, and they're going to get creative about it. I'm thinking about the fact that Michael has already given $40,000 of his own money to a woman who is clearly using him. And I'm thinking about the fact that I'm about to lose my son to someone who doesn't actually love him. She loves what he can give her. So I make a decision. It's not a decision made in anger, even though I'm angry. It's a decision made in clarity. It's a decision made by someone who's finally realized that if she doesn't act, she's going to lose everything. I walk back to the kitchen where Michael is still sitting, and I tell him what I'm about to do. I tell him that I'm transferring the $60,000 from the joint savings account back to my personal account. I tell him that this money was a gift, conditional on respect and mutual consideration, and he's forfeited that. Michael starts to cry. He's like, Mom, no, please. Chloe and I are supposed to sign a contract on a new house next week. We need that down payment. And I'm like, Michael, a down payment for a house with someone who's already lied to you multiple times? That's not an investment. That's a bankrupt waiting to happen. I also tell him that I'm hiring a professional property management company to handle the cabin. From now on, the cabin can't be rented out to paying guests, not family. And nobody, not Michael, not Chloe, not Robert, or Patricia, nobody is going to have a key. Michael's completely devastated. It's like, Mom, you can't do this. You can't just take this away. And I'm like, Michael, I can. And I am, because sometimes love means saying no. I make the transfer that night. $60,000 gone, out of Michael's reach. Then I contact the cleaning service that usually maintains the cabin. I tell them I'm canceling their services for the next month. Then I go into the utilities portal for the cabin and I cancel the auto pay on the electricity, water, and gas. I'm not shutting it off immediately. But starting June 1st, if nobody pays the bill manually, the utilities are going to stop. By the time I'm done with all this, it's like 11 p.m. And I feel surprisingly calm, like I'm not shaking anymore. I'm not crying. I'm just done. I go to bed early. And for the first time in weeks, I sleep like a baby. The next morning, the Hartmans find out that the savings account is empty. Michael calls me at work around 9 a.m. He's like, Mom, what the hell is this? What did you do? And I'm like, I took back what's mine, Michael. We need to talk about Chloe. He doesn't take that well. He tells me that Chloe is devastated, that she's crying, that her parents are freaking out, that the house sale is falling through. And I'm like, good. Michael's shocked that I said that. He's like, how can you be so cold? And I tell him, because you need someone to be cold right now. You need someone to be clear. Because right now you're being used and you're too much in love to see it. He hangs up on me. That night, I call Susan again. I tell her everything. Susan listens to the whole thing, and then she's like, Eleanor, this is financial exploitation. Chloe has been using your son as an ATM, and she's been using your property as a place to house her family while they regroup their finances. But I have to tell you, if you want to get them out, you need to do it legally. Otherwise, they're going to claim their tenants, and you're going to be stuck with them for months. So I hire Susan. I pay her retainer right then and there. It's like $3,000 for an initial consultation and a cease and desist letter. Susan drafts this very official letter to the Hartmans. It basically says Eleanor Mitchell is the sole owner and proprietor of address. The individuals currently residing at the property, Robert Hartman, Patricia Hartman, and any other occupants, are not authorized tenants. They must vacate the premises within 15 days, on or before June 5, 2026. Failure to comply will result in legal action for trespassing and unlawful occupation. Additionally, all utility costs incurred from May 1 onwards will be billed to the occupants, totaling approximately $4,150. Susan sends this letter via certified mail on May 21st. Michael receives the letter at his office. He calls me immediately. He's like, Mom, you can't. You can't do this. She's going to ruin Chloe's life. And I'm like, Michael, Chloe's doing a pretty good job of ruining her own life. I'm just not participating anymore. But honestly, I'm worried about Michael at this point. He sounds completely unraveled, like his voice is cracking. He's breathing heavy. He sounds like he's about to have a breakdown. I tell him, Michael, I don't want you to talk to Chloe anymore. I want you to come stay with me while we figure this out. He says he can't. He says he's got work. He says he's got responsibilities. And I realize something. Michael doesn't have any friends. Like, he doesn't mention calling anyone else. He doesn't have a support system. His entire social life seems to be built around Chloe and her family. That's when I decide to hire someone else. I call Tom Bradley. Tom's my neighbor. He's 65 years old, retired cop, and he's kind of a friend, though we're not super close. But I know he's good at getting information, and I need information. I call him and I'm like, Tom, I need you to do something for me. I need you to look into the Hartman family. I need to know everything about their finances. Tom's like, Eleanor, what's going on? And I tell him the whole story. Tom takes about 24 hours. And then he calls me back. He tells me to come over to his house. When I get there, he's got this folder full of printouts, and he lays it all out for me. According to his research, and Tom has ways of finding this stuff that I don't ask too many questions about, Robert Hartman is not actually out of work. He's retired. He's been retired since 2015, and he gets a pension from his old company, $12,500 a month. That's $150,000 a year. He's not excellently wealthy, but he's not struggling either. And Patricia, she's not struggling either. She sold 3 properties in the last few months. One in Raleigh for $320,000, one in Durham for $185,000, one in Chapel Hill for $210,000. After commissions and taxes, she walked away with something like $500,000. So Robert and Patricia Hartman are not poor. They're not struggling. They're not in some desperate situation where they need to stay in my cabin. They're choosing to stay in my cabin. They're choosing to use my utilities. They're choosing to use my property as a temporary base while they figure out their next moves. And the kicker? Chloe's company didn't go under the way Michael said. I mean, it did fail, but it failed because Chloe was making bad business decisions. She was overspending, undercharging, and basically just not managing it properly. Tom tells me, Eleanor, this woman has been working as a freelancer for like 8 months. She's making maybe 2 grand a month, if that. She's not a real business owner. She's just a freelancer who called herself a business owner to sound more impressive. When I hear all this, I don't feel angry anymore. I feel vindicated. I'm not the one who's wrong here. I'm not being unfair or unsupportive. I'm being lied to. And once you know you're being lied to, it becomes a lot easier to act. It's May 22nd. I've sent the legal letter. I've hired Susan. I've investigated the Hartmans. And I'm feeling pretty clear about what I need to do. Then around 11 a.m., I get a notification on my phone. It's a Facebook alert. Chloe has posted something. We have some exciting news. Michael and I just found out that we're going to be parents. I'm 2 months pregnant. We're so excited to start our family together. We're hoping Michael's mom, Eleanor, will be happy to have a grandchild on the way. We know she's been a little unsupportive lately, but we're hoping this brings us all closer together. We can't wait to meet our little one. The post has like 300 comments within the first hour. And honestly, it's genius. It's so genius that it actually makes me respect Chloe a little bit in like the most evil way possible. Because now the narrative has completely changed. Now, instead of Chloe is using Michael and Eleanor's property, the narrative is Eleanor is rejecting her son's pregnant girlfriend because she's a heartless woman. I'm getting texts from people, friends, acquaintances, people I haven't talked to in years, asking me if it's true that I'm not supporting Michael's baby. One text from someone I know from tennis club is like, Eleanor, I know Michael and I know he's a good guy. Whatever's going on between you two, your grandchild didn't do anything wrong. I hope you reconsider. I'm like, okay. So this is what she's doing. She's using the pregnancy as a shield, and it's actually working. I call Susan immediately. I'm like, Susan, what do I do? She just posted on Facebook that she's pregnant, and now everyone thinks I'm a monster. And Susan's like, Eleanor, that's a strategic move. It's what we call narrative management. She's trying to reframe the situation so that if she loses, she still wins in the court of public opinion. What do I do? You don't do anything. You don't respond on social media. You don't engage. You let your actions speak for themselves. The truth will come out. But honestly, that's hard to hear when you're getting messages from people saying you're a terrible mother and a worse grandmother. Michael calls me that night. He sounds different. He sounds almost vindicated. He's like, Mom, I saw what Chloe posted about the baby. Yes. Did you know about this? No, Michael, I had no idea. Did you know about this? He's quiet for a moment. And then he's like, I mean, Chloe mentioned something a few weeks ago, but I didn't think it was. I don't know, Mom. She said she was pregnant, but I wasn't sure. We haven't really been using protection, so I guess it makes sense. We haven't been using protection. That's all I need to hear. I realize that not only is my son being financially manipulated, but he's being sexually manipulated too. He's got no protection. He's got no way to ensure that what he's doing isn't going to have major consequences. I tell him, Michael, we need to talk about paternity testing. And he's like, Mom, you can't just assume the baby isn't mine. Michael, I'm not assuming anything. I'm saying that you need to confirm it's yours. Because if it's not, you're still going to be legally responsible for child support in this state. And Chloe knows that. He gets defensive. He's like, that's not fair. That's not fair to Chloe. And I'm like, Michael, what's not fair is someone using your body and your money to achieve their own goals. That's what's not fair. He hangs up on me again. 2 days later, May 24th, I get a notification from my bank that makes me literally gasp. I'm checking my online banking app, just doing my normal routine, checking my accounts. And I see something that doesn't make sense. There's a new loan on my account. I didn't apply for any loan. I didn't authorize any loan. But there it is. Loan amount, $85,000 loan date, May 21, 2026 borrower, Michael Harrison cosigner, Eleanor Mitchell interest rate, 8. 5% per annum term, 60 months monthly payment, $1,715. What the actual hell? I immediately call my bank. I'm speaking to a customer service representative, and I'm trying to stay calm, but I'm literally shaking with rage. I'm like, I need to know how this loan was approved. I did not authorize this loan. I did not sign anything. The representative puts me on hold for like 5 minutes. When she comes back, she's like, Ms. Mitchell, I'm looking at the loan paperwork here. It shows that Michael Harrison came into the bank on May 21st with someone acting as your representative. They signed the documents on your behalf. Who was the person? According to the paperwork, it was Chloe Hartman. She indicated that she was authorized to sign documents on your behalf. I literally feel like my chest is caving in. That's fraud. That's illegal. Miss Mitchell, I understand your concern. However, the funds have already been dispersed into Michael Harrison's account. If you believe this was fraud, you'll need to file a police report. I hang up. I call Michael immediately. Michael, did you just take out an $85,000 loan with my name as a cosigner? He's quiet for a really long time. Michael, Mom, I. Yes. But before you freak out, let me explain. Explain what, Michael? How do you explain fraud? It's not fraud, I mean. Chloe told me that you would want to help us get a house. She said the best way to do it would be through a loan. And she said she could handle the paperwork. Michael, did you go to the bank with her? Yes, but so you know that she's not me. You know that she can't just sign my name on documents. Mom, I thought. I thought maybe you had given her power of attorney or something. Michael, I would never. I stop. I take a breath. Michael, this is fraud. This is a felony. Chloe forged my signatures on a legal document. You're both potentially going to prison. And his voice gets really small and he's like, What do I do, Mom? What do I do? You come to my house right now. And we call Susan. Michael doesn't argue this time. He gets in his car and he drives to my house. When he arrives, he looks destroyed. He looks like someone who just realized that the woman he loves has completely and totally betrayed him. I call Susan. I explain what happened. Susan's like, okay, this is serious. This is identity theft and forgery. Eleanor, you have options here. You can file a police report. You can press charges against both of them. Or, or what? Or you can leverage this. You can tell them that you're willing to drop charges if they agree to your terms. So that's what we do. I draft a message to Chloe via Susan's law firm. The message basically says Eleanor Mitchell is willing to not pursue criminal charges related to the unauthorized loan on the condition that 1. Robert and Patricia Hartman vacate the property by June 5, 2026. 2. Chloe Hartman begins repayment of the $85,000 loan immediately at a rate of $2,000 per month, with Michael Harrison removed as a cosigner. 3. Chloe Hartman provides Eleanor Mitchell with a written statement acknowledging the forgery and expressing willingness to make amends. Chloe doesn't respond well to this. Instead, she calls Michael and she tells him that Eleanor is trying to control them through fear and legal threats. She tells him that Eleanor is a toxic person who doesn't actually love him. She tells him that if he really loved her, he would protect her from his mother's attacks. Michael tells me this, and honestly, I'm not even surprised anymore because I've realized something. Chloe isn't just using my son. She's poisoning him against me. She's isolating him. She's making him feel like his mother, who's trying to save him, is actually his enemy. And Michael is so desperate to believe that he's in a real relationship with someone who loves him, that he's willing to believe her version of reality instead of the actual truth. So I do something that I should have done a long time ago. I go to the police station and I file a report. I file a report for identity theft, fraud, forgery, and unlawful financial transaction. I provide them with the loan documents. I provide them with evidence that I did not authorize the loan. I provide them with everything. The police officer tells me that this is a serious matter. He tells me that both Chloe and Michael could face charges. And I'm like, I know. He's like, you understand that your son could go to jail for this? I understand. And you're okay with that? I sit there for a moment. And honestly, I'm not happy about it. But I'm clear about it. I tell the officer, my son is being financially and emotionally manipulated by a woman who is systematically destroying his life. If the only way to make him see that is through legal consequences, then yes, I'm okay with it. Because sometimes love means letting people face the consequences of their own choices. The officer nods. He files the report. A few days later, May 28th, Chloe gets a visit from the police. She's called in for questioning at the Charlotte police station. Michael freaks out when he finds out. He calls me and he's like, Mom, how could you do this? How could you involve the police? And I'm like, Michael, she committed fraud. I'm just reporting it. But now she's going to just have a criminal record. Now our baby's going to grow up with a mom who has a criminal record. Michael, our baby? Michael, you don't even know if that's your baby. And secondly, Chloe's making her own choices. The consequences are hers to bear. He doesn't take that well. He yells at me. He tells me that I'm a terrible mother. He tells me that I've never actually loved him. He tells me that I'm just a cold, heartless woman who cares more about money than she cares about her own son. And you know what? In that moment, I don't defend myself. I don't cry. I don't try to convince him otherwise. I just listen. And when he's done, I tell him, Michael, I love you, but I love you enough to let you hate me right now. Because the alternative is watching you destroy your life for someone who doesn't actually love you. And I can't do that. I won't do that. He hangs up. At the police station, Chloe's being questioned about the loan, and the truth starts to come out. She admits that she signed Eleanor's name on the documents, but she claims that Michael told her Eleanor would want to do it. She claims that Michael said Eleanor had agreed to co-sign. Michael, when he's questioned, initially agrees with her story. But then the police show him text messages between Chloe and Michael from May 19th, where Chloe is explicitly saying, Your mom is never going to give us money for a house, so we need to do this ourselves. I can sign her name and make it look official. Michael literally breaks down in the interrogation room. He admits that he knew what Chloe was doing. He admits that he was part of it. So now, both of them are potentially facing charges. But here's the interesting thing. Once the police start looking into this, they find out that this isn't the first time Chloe's done something like this. Turns out, Chloe's got a history of financial problems. She's got unpaid debts to various contractors and suppliers related to her failed business. She's got some questionable transactions on her personal bank account, money coming in from older men, money she can't explain. The police suspect that she's not just a woman with bad business sense. They suspect she's someone with a pattern of exploitation. And Michael finally starts to see the truth. The police ask Michael if he wants to press charges separately from Eleanor. Michael's quiet for a moment, and then he says yes. Michael presses charges against Chloe for fraud and forgery. Eleanor decides not to press charges, but she's willing to testify. So now Chloe's facing potential jail time. Once the police report goes public, and in a small enough city like Charlotte, these things get around, everything falls apart. First, Michael loses his job, not officially because of the fraud charges, but basically. His company finds out that he was involved in loan fraud and identity theft. And even though it's technically personal stuff, it affects the company's reputation. They do a restructuring, and Michael gets laid off. Michael's devastated. He calls me from a parking lot somewhere, and he's like, Mom, I have nothing. I have no job. I have no house. I have a woman who's going to be convicted of felonies. And now I have a baby coming that I don't even know if it's mine. And for the first time, I hear real clarity in Michael's voice. He's like, I messed up, Mom. I messed up so bad. I tell him, yes, you did, but you can fix it. He asks if he can come stay with me, and I say, yes. Second, the Hartman family situation completely unravels. Robert and Patricia are now dealing with the fact that their daughter is facing criminal charges. Patricia's real estate business implodes because clients don't want to work with someone connected to fraud. Robert's pension is still safe, but he's got legal bills now. Chloe's parents basically have to hire lawyers, which costs money. And the house deal they were supposed to make falls through because Chloe's facing charges. So Robert and Patricia's whole plan to quietly rebuild their finances in Eleanor's cabin while their daughter figured out her life goes up in smoke. On June 5th, exactly as ordered, Robert and Patricia move out of the cabin. They don't leave a note. They don't call. They just pack their stuff and they leave. Eleanor has a contractor come in and change all the locks. Third, Chloe's facing some serious consequences. She gets charged with forgery and identity theft. Her lawyer tells her that she could face up to 5 years in prison. But then something interesting happens. Chloe's lawyer approaches Susan's office with a plea deal. Chloe is willing to plead guilty. Chloe is willing to pay restitution. In exchange, she wants a lighter sentence. Susan brings this to Eleanor. Eleanor thinks about it, and she decides something that shocks everyone. Eleanor tells Chloe's lawyer that she's willing to speak to the DA on Chloe's behalf, not because Eleanor forgives her, but because Eleanor recognizes that Chloe is also a victim of her own circumstances. She's someone who grew up with wealthy parents, never had to work for anything, and then suddenly found herself completely unprepared for the real world. Eleanor tells the DA that while she wants restitution, she doesn't want Chloe to go to prison. She thinks Chloe should do community service, pay restitution, and get counseling. The DA takes this into consideration. And ultimately, Chloe gets a sentence of 2 years of probation, 500 hours of community service, and she has to repay Eleanor $85,000 over 3 years. Michael's okay with this outcome. He's like, at least she's not going to be in prison. Eleanor's okay with it too. She's like, at least she's going to have to work to fix what she broke. So now we're in mid-June 2026. Michael's living with me. Michael doesn't have a job, but he's got time to figure things out. My cabin is being professionally managed and will be rented out to paying guests. The legal situation is settled, and I sit down with Michael to have a real conversation. We're sitting in my kitchen. It's early morning. I've made coffee. Michael looks better than he has in weeks. He's showering regularly. He's eating. He's sleeping. I ask him, Michael, what do you want to do? Michael's like, I don't know, Mom. I feel like I don't know anything anymore. That's okay. We'll figure it out together. We spend the next few weeks in a kind of limbo. Michael doesn't know if the baby is his. Chloe's starting her community service. Robert and Patricia are quietly dealing with their own stuff. But I use this time to really talk to Michael. Real, honest conversations about Linda, about why he was so desperate to make Chloe work, about his fears of being alone. And Michael, for the first time in his life, is completely honest with his mother. He tells me that when Linda left, he felt like a failure. He felt like he'd done something wrong. He felt like no one would ever love him again. And when Chloe came along and seemed interested in him, he just, grabbed on. He didn't question it. He didn't think critically about what she was doing. He just wanted so badly to believe that someone loved him. I cry when I hear this, but not sad tears, relief tears. Because finally, my son is being honest. I tell him, Michael, I love you. Even when you're making terrible decisions, even when you're lying to me, I love you. And I'm never going to stop loving you. But I can't love you for you. You have to love yourself. Michael takes a paternity test in late June. A week later, the results come back. It turns out he's not the father. The baby is the biological child of someone named Derek, a director that Chloe was dating when she hooked up with Michael. Michael's actually relieved. He's like, I'm not a father. I'm not going to be tied to this forever. But I warn him, Michael, legally, you might still be responsible for child support. You need to talk to Susan about that. Susan tells Michael that there's a good chance he can get out of it, especially since the paternity test proves he's not the biological father. But it's going to take some legal maneuvering. I help him hire a lawyer. In early July 2026, the case is closed. Michael is not responsible for child support. Michael is not responsible for Chloe's baby. Michael's free. Around this time, Michael decides he's ready to get a new job. His old company is out. He's burned bridges there. But he reaches out to some former colleagues and he finds a position at a different tech company. It pays less than his old job, about $130,000 instead of $180,000, but it's a fresh start. I tell Michael, that's a good choice, son. Taking a step back to move forward, Michael moves into his own apartment in Charlotte in late July. I give him a loan, $20,000 at 3% interest, 60 months, $368 per month. We sign a formal agreement. Michael's like, Mom, you're making me take out a loan, even after everything? I'm like, especially after everything, Michael, because you need to learn that there's no such thing as a free ride. If you want help from someone who loves you, you have to be willing to work for it. You have to show that you respect it. Michael starts repaying the loan immediately. It's now June 17th, 2026. I'm sitting on my back patio looking out at my garden. I've got a glass of white wine. I've got my phone next to me. Michael calls. He's at his new job. He's had the job for about 2 weeks now, and it's going well. He's got colleagues who don't know about the whole fraud situation. He's got a chance to start over. He tells me that he's met someone new. Her name is Jessica. She's a paralegal. They met at the coffee shop near his office. They've gone on one date. I'm immediately protective. I'm like, Michael, take it slow. Don't invest anything until you know who this person is. Michael laughs. He's like, Mom, I got it. I promise. We hang up. I sit there for a while, thinking about everything that's happened in the last 2 months. I think about the fact that I was willing to risk my relationship with my son to protect myself. And I think about the fact that it actually worked. Not in the way I expected, but it worked. Michael respects me now. Michael sees me now because I refuse to be a doormat. My phone buzzes. It's a message from Susan. Susan writes, just wanted to check in. How are you holding up? I know the last couple months have been intense. I'm proud of you for standing firm. Not a lot of mothers have the courage to do what you did. I write back, thank you, Susan. I'm doing well. Better than I have in years, actually. I'm finally living my life on my terms. Susan writes, good, you deserve it. And hey, Michael's going to be okay. He's learned his lesson. And Chloe. Well, Chloe's going to have to figure things out on her own now. That's not your responsibility anymore. I sit with that for a moment. And I realize something. For so long, my identity was wrapped up in being the person who fixes things, the person who helps, the person who sacrifices. But that's not who I am. I'm a woman. Strong woman. A woman who knows what I want. A woman who's willing to say no. A woman who's willing to lose a relationship to maintain my self-respect. That's the real Eleanor. And the real Eleanor is happy. Sometimes I drive up to the mountains when the tenants are away on vacation. I sit on the porch with a glass of wine and just soak in the quiet. The old cherry table is exactly where it belongs. It smells like pine and fresh air, not stale pizza. I've learned something that took me 6 decades to figure out. You have to be willing to risk everything, even the relationship with your only child, to save the truth. Jason respects me more now than he ever did because I showed him what a person with a backbone looks like. I'm Eleanor. I'm 62 years old, and I'm never giving away my keys again. I'm free, and that freedom is the best inheritance I could ever leave myself.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that was Eleanor's story. And I gotta say, when I first read this, I had a lot of feelings about it. Because on the surface, Eleanor looks like a hero, right? She's the mother who stands up to manipulative people. She sets boundaries. She doesn't let herself be a doormat. But here's the thing I want you to really think about, Tam. Eleanor also made some choices that were pretty harsh. She didn't just say no to Chloe and her family. She essentially ensured that a woman would face criminal consequences. Now, I'm not saying that was wrong, but it also wasn't nice. And I think that's the whole point. Because Eleanor comes to realize, Tad, and I think this is the most important part of the whole story, that nice doesn't always equal good. And boundaries don't always equal coldness. Sometimes being a good person means you have to be hard. Sometimes love means saying no. Sometimes protecting yourself means disappointing the people you love. Michael didn't want his mother to involve the police. He probably would have preferred Eleanor, but Eleanor did it anyway, because she knew that her son needed to understand that actions have consequences. And you know what? By being hard, Eleanor actually saved her son. He's got a new job now. He's got a new relationship. He's got his self-respect back. So if you're watching this, I want you to know, you're allowed to protect yourself. You're allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to be hard, because sometimes that's the only way to be truly good. Thanks for watching. And seriously, drop a like, subscribe, tell me what you think about Eleanor's choices. I'll see you next time.